Well, welcome everybody to today's New Music Tuesday. So excited to be here with you on New Music Tuesday. We're going to review some songs here on Music Review Tuesday. It's so new, I don't even know the name of it, but some songs here on Music. All right, so we're live over here. I can hear myself, so that's a good sign. And let's see who is going to join us in the chat today. Excited to be here on Music Review Tuesday. You know, this is something I started a few weeks ago, and it's become pretty popular, and very excited to be doing this every week and just providing this kind of content. I think it's important for people to know where they stand with their songs as it relates to stock music licensing, as it relates to sync music licensing, as it relates to Spotify. You know, this channel is called Make Music Income. So the point of this particular video every Tuesday and listening to people's music is to not only provide insight as to how they can make their songs better, but how they can, to provide insight on how they could possibly have more success and make music income. It's kind of the name of the channel. So I really focus on that. And when I teach anyone, whether I'm teaching people in person, whether I'm teaching students at school, or whether I'm teaching private lessons, or whether I'm teaching you right here on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or anywhere we are streaming to and putting content, or Instagram, my goal is to inform you how you can make music income with the music that you're making. And so that's the whole point of Music Review Tuesday. So glad you are here. Starting next week, I would like to start theming these review days. And the theme of next week is one we all strive to do for stock music licensing, which some people that follow this channel do. And that genre is corporate music. You knew it was coming. So next week is going to be Music Review Tuesday, corporate edition. So I would like to get corporate songs from everybody. You can send me MP3s, and you can send me what you want to know about the song, what kind of focus it is, whether it's off to sync or it's off to stock. Likely it'll be stock, since this is going to be a corporate focused week. But we're going to do the corporate edition of Music Review Tuesday next Tuesday. That will be April the 26th. So make sure that you submit some songs for corporate. All right, so let's see who's in here. Arco, hey, thanks for being here. Arco, Luca, thanks for being here. We're going to listen to your song here in just a little bit. Arco says, I was just making my website. Cool. Always can be making and remaking websites, that's for sure. And Mix Club, welcome. Hope you have a nice warm beverage. We're going to listen to some music today, and I think I've got some of my audio issues settled. We'll see. Hey, my pleasure. It's, ladies and gentlemen, Jesse from Sync My Music. Jesse, thanks so much. You're welcome. I love your content, and everybody who's watching this video and this live should make sure they are signed up with Jesse's channel at Sync My Music, because he does a great job, and he is the man for sync licensing. If you are doing sync licensing, this is not a paid promotion, and even if he wasn't here, I would say this. It's on every one of my videos, but Jesse is the guy to go see about sync, because he's been in it for a long time, and I have learned a lot in my sync start, and actually work with a library that he knows quite well. And so it's just great to have this kind of camaraderie between our channels, same as I do with Stevie B, and same as I do with Daniel of Stock Music Licensing. You know, we are about making music income, not just stock music or sync music or Spotify or any of that kind of stuff. And so the whole point behind Music Review Tuesdays is to really just talk about what we're hearing on the channel. So very cool. Thanks again, Jesse, for jumping in here. So again, next week we're going to do a New Music Tuesday just based on corporate music. So feel free to break the rules. You don't have to just make a boring corporate song. You can be completely original. Do whatever you want. I always encourage creativity. Keep it useful, though, for someone who is doing a corporate presentation. Think about this. Kind of imagine a boardroom where an audience is watching a thrilling narrated presentation. Morgan Freeman is doing the voiceover, right? Or something like that. And your music is behind it. Or imagine this is music behind like a video showing technology or business or something like that. These are just a few things that people use corporate music for, but they're mostly used on videos. Or imagine it's a YouTube video where someone is doing they're a YouTuber, they're out at Disney World or whatever they YouTube on, and then they go running off around and they play this music in the background. That could be your music, and some of that is in the corporate style too. So I hope you'll join us next week and be part of it for Music Review Tuesday Corporate Edition. So we'll see how that goes, but I think it would be kind of fun to kind of put genres on these things and make them a little different. I love hearing all the different kinds of things you guys send to me, so that's very fun. But so send me an MP3. Remember, no content ID, because if you use content ID, I can't use it on this show because it will mess up the channel's monetization and stuff like that. So also remember to put your name and the song name on the file. And I know that seems pretty elementary, but if you can put metadata inside it, so when I bring it up in Disco, it automatically comes right up. I use a service called Disco, which is kind of like a private SoundCloud, more professional private SoundCloud. I'm going to do a video on that soon. But this is good practice in general to put your name and the song name in the description if you're sending it to someone to listen. Also the metadata. And it's something we teach all students coming up. I teach now a recording at a recording type of school, and one of the things they have to do every day is turn in assignments, and those assignments have to have the name of the assignment and their name on it. Or if it's a Pro Tools file, it's got to have the Pro Tools PTX, but it's got to have the name of the assignment, the song name, or whatever it is, and then their name. So make sure you do that when you send files in. That would be very helpful. Okay, so Whitebeam is in here. Thanks for joining. Good to see you again today. You're always here, so I appreciate that. Okay, well, I see we're up to about 10 folks, so let's get to the first song. I don't know if Alex is in here yet. Alex B is going to be our first song today, and Alex B has been trying to get into Motion Array for the second time. And Alex has had some terrific music that he's shown us in our Discord. And by the way, if you're not in our Discord, make sure you check out the description below and get into that Discord. We're almost at 500 people now, so that's pretty exciting. And all of us are just mystified as to why Alex is not in Motion Array, which is about the best paying stock library and really comes the closest to a library that's on the next level, like Artlist or even like a sync library. As far as its payouts, they've changed their payouts lately, but as we know, that is something that you can make a lot of money in. I mean, Motion Array is still the library that I make the most from every single month as far as from stock, which is kind of a part-time pursuit for me. And then Pond 5 is where you should start just because it's easy and you can get a lot of your tags and stuff from there. And if you got into Audio Jungle before they closed, they are probably my second most audio monthly earner after Motion Array. But remember, Motion Array can be a game changer for you money-wise. Just ask Stevie B, who made $2,500 last month in 1 month. That comes from having a song in their top 10, but as you may or may not know, Motion Array is now tied to Artlist, or Artlist bought out Motion Array last year, and so Motion Array is pretty serious and pretty tied in, and their quality level is pretty high. So Alex has been trying to get into this, and So he has submitted a corporate track for our review. We should have done this next week. It's called Doing Business. And Alex said, I decided to apply to Motion Array again, and this time I'm sending them only corporate tracks that I and fellow composers think are good enough for them. This is one of the tracks I'm planning to send them. So cool. Well, Alex, let's listen to Doing Business. I've got to do a little bit of business here myself on the audio so that I can play it in stereo. It's a long story, but we'll get into why I have to make these changes later. But let me know in the stream how things are sounding. I think I've solved some of the breakup problems. I think I was playing the files too loud last week. So here we go with Doing Business by Alex. Let me just call up that screen. And here we go. And one more thing I have to do. Turn on stereo. Got to hear it in stereo. All right, here we go. All right. So, good job, Alex. I like this song. Here are my thoughts on it. I think song-wise, corporate-wise, it's in the right ballpark. And what I know about Motion Array, as far as sending them files and getting stuff accepted, they do love piano. They do love this kind of style. I've never had much problem getting a corporate type of thing like this on Motion Array. The only thing on this one, first of all, the piano sample is to me brings this down a little bit. I also wonder if there's enough energy in the drums. The drums almost feel like they're a little stiff, like that kick that just happens. It all just feels a little, I don't know, just it doesn't drive that much for me. And so, sorry, here, let me change my screen here. It doesn't drive like boom, boom, boom. It doesn't, it's like that kick is just a little too consistent, like a little over consistent. Does that make sense? I mean, sometimes the kick in a song can be so consistent it gets boring sounding. Now, I think in this kind of thing where you've got like a house kind of corporate type of thing going on. It's not like you have to play a real drum set through the whole thing. I do personally, just because I like to have that kind of like a drummer back there to feel the energy and stuff. And I think another reason, I don't know how much of this guitar you're playing yourself or bass. It also seems like it's missing a little bass. Now, this is not going to be in stereo because I don't want to turn my mic off, but that's not in stereo right now while I'm talking. There's something going on with my microphone and my interface where if I turn off stereo, I have to turn off stereo to talk, or I'll only be in one ear. Ronan, good morning. Glad to have you from LA today. Lucas says maybe a short version could work. It's 2:18. I don't feel it's too long. I just feel like I love the end. All of the end sounds great. I love the lead and the little high whistle lead thing you have going on. The guitars all sound nice. The whole idea is nice, and I don't really have anything wrong with it. There's just, to me, a little bit of, I don't know, there's just a little bit of energy missing or something. And it might be in the drums. Even some of the build-ups, like there was a place where right when you go into your big section. But like that piano right there, it just doesn't help. That just, it's too soft. And I think the problem is on a lot of these things that people are using, believe me, I love Complete. By the way, let's get some lights on. I love Complete, and I love all the Complete sounds, but I'm not a huge fan of their pianos for professional music. I think felt pianos have their place in certain kinds of music, but not necessarily to make you excited about a part. And so that piano, I'm not sure where it's coming from, if it's Logic, if it is, because Logic pianos are not great. They can be useful, again, in soundtracky things. But when you've got a song like this where you need that energy, I think you've got to have some kind of stronger piano sample. There are some that come with Complete that are good, but probably the three top ones, I would say, and I probably say this a lot, but I'm a Spectrasonics junkie, so I'm going to say Keyscape is best for piano. That's my favorite right now. Up until Keyscape, I had used Ivory for a decade or more, and Ivory is a very professional piano, especially the Yamaha sample. And then I hear a lot of people talking about Piano Tech, and again, I am a piano player. I am. Most of my music is driven from the piano or electric piano, so I'm going to use Keyscape or something like that to dial a better thing. Stevie Stevie B has shown up and sent a tune. Well, you'll get included somehow. We'll figure a way to get you included. I got to pull it into the thing, but we'll do it. So thanks for being here, Stevie B. It's early where you are. In Vancouver, Canada today. David Gillen just says he just lost power. That's not good. I've had that happen too often. All right, so Alex, so the final word on this song is I think the song itself is great. I think it works very well, but I think there is some energy missing. One thing that I watched last night, and you should watch, and speaking of Mr. Stevie B, since he's here, I watched his video last night on how he made the song that basically made him the big cheddar last month on Motion Array. And it might be worth looking at that song to see what he did. It has a little bit of corporateness to it. I don't think it's necessarily a corporate song, but he added a few things. But I think there's just something that's kind of missing in the energy of this song. Not that Motion Array has to have a lot of energy, but if you go back and watch Steve's tune or you listen to some of the corporate stuff on there. So to me, it's piano. The piano just makes this sound cheaper for some reason, whatever that sample is. And the second thing is the beat. I just think there could be more dynamic drums going on. But as far as corporate music goes and Motion Array goes, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't like the song. It's just some of those things that I was talking about. So, all right. So we're going to move on now to Angel, who is also known as Malinez. And actually, I had you out of order, but we're going to go ahead and go to that one now, Angel. So this is from someone who's Angel, who's known as Malinez in our Discord. Very, very active and always great to get songs from you. And he says, I have this track that just got rejected from Motion Array, and I would love to know what's wrong with it. In order to avoid these mistakes in the future tracks I send them, thanks. Okay, well, let's turn on the stereo and then go listen to your song, Angel. Thanks for sending that. And here we go. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for that, Angel. And yeah, I personally, I love the lo-fi stuff. I listen to lo-fi every day on Spotify. It's very relaxing to me. I kind of moved there from listening to a lot of smooth jazz, which became very square and very just kind of boring. And lo-fi is kind of the new. It's really acid jazz that's kind of evolved into this chill type of ambient music. But Love 3, Lucas says, this track is beautiful, but it seems almost unglued in certain parts, as if everything is not in its place. I kind of agree with that. I think it's certainly cool and chill and relaxing. I think you've got all the right elements. I don't think that's the problem. I think there might be a mix issue. The other thing that I just want to tell everybody, and I've been telling my students this as we've been doing some MIDI work. The class I teach, we just got into MIDI last week in Logic, and trying to introduce them to quantizing, and the fact that quantizing can still be groovy as long as you play it right and you pick the right quantization mode. So I think lots of lo-fi. Now, there are some lo-fi that's not quantized, I understand, and stuff. And to be honest with Motion Array, I have had things rejected from them that were over electronic, I'm not saying they were badly mixed, but They have rejected the strangest things for both Steve and I. I know we were just talking about that recently. We both sent them funky type tunes with funky bass and stuff in it, and both were on all our other libraries, but it was not accepted to Motion Array. Both of us got rejected, which was something that happens. The Mix Club says something with the kick and bass seems a bit loose. So my style, not my style, so probably speaking out of line. So I get that. And, I kind of understand that a little bit. Arco says, I think there can be some transition effects where changing over from one part to another. Yeah, maybe. I think I'm not so worried about that with lo-fi, but and it could be that some lo-fi is just not going to fit some libraries, and Motion Array is prone not to take some of my electronic stuff. Just so you know. Now I know Steve has a lot of luck with lo-fi there. Steve, if you're still in the chat, if you've had any lo-fi things rejected by them, that'd be interesting to know. But I think there is problems with this a little bit, Angel. And I would say that yeah, I would just go back and make sure that everything is glued together. Everything was, yeah, I think it's 4-4 Mix Club. Yeah, and Steve says he feels like it's a bit sluggish. And I know that lo-fi is supposed to be kind of off on the offbeat a lot of times, and sometimes you even hear these lo-fi tunes where they're trying to play two beats against each other. They're like a triplet thing against a 4-4 thing, and I that I have problems with. So it's like they're trying to do tuck, tuck, tuck against 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think that's not what you're doing here, but I do think that you might check how your groove, and this is something I do with a lot of my clients who I consult with. They'll send me their stuff, and I'm like, is that keyboard quantized? Because it just sounds like it's not locking in. And electronic music has to lock in, even on a lo-fi level, I think. And that's why when you watch Steve's channel and you watch his, he does videos that I don't do. He does those kinds of videos where he is like making his guitar tracks, but you'll see him go in and make sure those guitar tracks, if he didn't play it just into the groove, he'll go in and put it in the groove using the flex tool and stuff like that. So I think that's completely needed. And let's see what Philip says here. I like the samples with swing or clashing with the straight samples. Yeah. Well, again, that is a lo-fi staple. And you're going to hear a lot of that if you listen to like lo-fi Spotify playlist. You're going to hear that swing against straight. And but that might be cool for Spotify, but I just don't think necessarily that I'm going to hear a lot of that on Motion Array. Plus, I think this could be cleaned up a little bit. And I know that sounds funny for lo-fi, but the stuff that I get into Motion Array is usually pretty clean. It's usually less gritty, less electronic. Personally, that's just my personal thought about it. Yeah, Steve says quantize then humanize. I quantize everything. I just quantize it. Boom, and then I groove everything else against it, and or I hire players, which is the real answer. But so yeah, I think, and in Logic at least, you can quantize it, and then you can pull that quantizing back a little bit if you need to, so that it humanizes it a little bit. And almost every quantizing has a humanizing feature. So yeah, that's something you can definitely do, and I would really suggest using some quantizing on this, and that might help. Alex B says, hey, Eric. Hi, guys. Hey, Alex. If you're just arriving, we did you first today. Sorry. So you'll have to go back and watch either in the replay, or I don't know if you can rewind this, but the replay will be out right after this is over. So cool. Well, Angel, thank you for that. I hope that's not too discouraging. I don't want you to be discouraged, because I think the tune itself is fine and cool. I just think the challenge is going to be making sure that you kind of clean it up without making it too non-lo-fi, if you know what I mean. It's just going to be a matter of of getting a little stronger. Now, if it's already been rejected, I wouldn't worry about resending it to Motion Array. I just think that you might try some other cleaner types of things. The things I usually get signed to Motion Array are piano things, corporate things, and also jazz things. But again, they're pretty nicely mixed, and I don't do a lot of lo-fi myself. So anyway, let's see if my daughter can get my dog here. All right. Sorry about that. Dog problems, but I think there's someone else in the house, which is not the case sometimes. Alex says, that's great. Thanks. I couldn't make it earlier. I'm sorry, Alex. I should have waited till you were in the chat, but I want to keep this moving along. So, Angel, thank you so much for sending that. And some cool stuff, but I think in the future, I would make sure that all of that electronic stuff is tight. It just may be, and you have to keep this in mind. Motion Array will accept different things from different people. They'll take songs from Stevie B that they don't take from me for whatever reason. That's going to happen with any library, even sync libraries. When one person can send a song to a sync library and one person can send a song to another to the same sync library, and they both do the same thing, and the sync library likes one person over the other, and it's just the way it is, and or they just feel like one is cleaner or one is different or whatever. So you just got to keep sending. We've all had things rejected by Motion Array. And Audio Jungle and tons of sync libraries. I've had stuff just ghosted completely. So it's going to happen. So just keep at it, and it sounds great. Love what you're doing. So, all right, next we're going to listen to something from. Let's see who's next up in the queue here. I had someone send me something from our Discord. Someone named Noah Taylor, who sent me something he wanted to know about his. Just wanted to get some feedback. It's very short. I'm not even sure the song name is what it's called, but the song name was called Getting a Better Understanding of Percussion. So I don't understand if that's the name or not. But he says, hi, Eric. This is something I've been working on for a little while. My first attempt of going big rather than simple stuff. And what he means by going big is this is a song that is kind of score-ish in nature. So it's very short, and we can just listen to that now, and let us go and listen to this in glorious stereo. And here we go. Cool. All right. Well, Noah, thank you for sending this in. And I guess my thoughts are that I would think that this song is a good start towards being a trailer kind of composer. It's certainly got the right feel. I think it's a little on the it's under dynamic. It's similar to when we were talking about Alex Tune needing a little bit more dynamics to it, especially in the drums and the percussion. Lucas says short but cool. Arco says it could be longer. And I think he was just showing me this to get an idea of how his percussion sounded. And in that vein, I'd say it was fine, but it was not quite dynamic enough. And when I say dynamic, I don't just mean loud. I mean loud and effective, loud and dramatic, loud and just you could feel it. And some of it is in mix, some of it is in samples. Also, I think even in that little clip, which really works as like a little cue, basically, a 30-second cue. Are these tunes coming out mono from your end? I am turning on stereo, so it should be stereo when you are listening. So if it's not, I'll try again. As a matter of fact, since that's only 30 seconds, let's do a little experiment here and tell me if you hear this. Again, I don't know how he sent this. Let me see if that one is. Because as you see, when I turn on stereo, I go to the left speaker because of my interface. But that is how I play these songs. So let's listen to that song again with stereo turned on from my side. Let's just listen to it. So Steve, tell me if that was stereo for you on that pass. Sounds very mono, but could be the track. Sounds pretty stereo in my headphones, so it may just be a thing about this software. I'm still trying to experiment. I worked a lot with it today, and everything sounded stereo in my replays. So we'll just have to see how what's going on with the streaming thing. Also, if you are watching this, I will be putting the disco playlist in the stream below so you can go listen in stereo after we talk about the song. The important part, I know you would all love to hear this in glorious stereo, and I'm not sure, I hope it's streaming better this week because I know last week we had some breaking up issues. I didn't hear those in my tests this week when I did some tests with a few different settings, and I turned the volume down that was coming out of the browser, so you should hear a little bit better this time. If you're not, let me know. If there are a lot of crackling and breakup, let me know. That would be good to know. But I heard that last week. I haven't heard it in my test this week. So anyway, Noah, good job. I think continue to work on, I think even in that second part. Now I'm playing it back, just so you know, right now I'm playing it in mono right this very second. But this part here, right there should be something else happening. There should be something else that's going on at that little, once it does its first little section there, then we should hear something else happen. So it's one time through. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot more happening on the second time through. So I would definitely work on that and build it more. Again, I have no problem with short cues, and a lot of people don't. Everybody can use a 30 or 40-second cue for a scene, so I don't necessarily have a problem with the length. I think in general, if you're sending this to libraries, you do want to do more of a full trailer where you've got a 3-section part of that, and that's just the first section, and it goes down and then it moves up. But again, I don't think Noah was sending me this on Discord to he may not even want me. He may not even wanted me to put this on this live, so I don't think that was a thing. All right, so let's now move on to the next person we have today, which is David Gilden, who sent me a new song today, and we're going to listen to a song called Bingle Spice. This sounds very interesting. Bingle Spice. David is in his tagline says Logic Audio Guru, America's premier kora, West African harp lute musician. That's pretty cool. So if you don't know about the kora, you can look that up. It's Kora, and it is a West African harp lute instrument. So he plays that, and that's kind of cool. Glad to have something like that that's going on. All right, I'm going to turn on stereo now. Let me know again if this one sounds mono, and then I will know maybe set up before the show. Okay, here we go. Cool. Right. Very cool kind of ambiance to it. It really puts you in that African type of you're sitting there listening to that. Yeah, the tablas are cool and the sitar is cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's real or not. Like I said, he plays the kora, which is a West African instrument, harp lute. I'm not sure I heard that in this particular track. Stevie B says, track is awesome. Love the sound of the tablas. Did that one sound more in stereo to you guys? I'm still checking this out. Like I said, when I did my tests, when I would turn on stereo, it seemed to go to stereo. And when I turn off stereo so that you don't just hear me out of one ear, otherwise you would just hear me on the left side. So last week, some people had some problems with hearing me in their mic, in their headphones or whatever. So yeah, David, I really love that song. I like it as a bed, like a kind of and I think it could be very useful in a lot of uses. I mean, it doesn't necessarily do a lot. In other words, musically, it doesn't go to a lot of places. It's pretty much a like I said, a soundscape almost, where it's just kind of sitting there. Now, if you were on an African safari, or there was video of an African safari, and it was just a kind of peaceful scene or something like that, and then maybe there was some camera movement over something, I could certainly see it being used on really any kind of thing, sync or stock. But I think it has great tunes. I think the mix is nice. Oh, great! I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I loved that sound, and I'm really interested, and I think, David, I would really suggest, and I would really also just advise and plead with you to give us more African type music, especially with the kinds of things that you specialize in. One of the problems that I think that people who are doing any kind of licensing music get into is they try a little bit too hard to be like everybody else, and they don't really explore who they are. And I think that's really important, that we all be who we are. For instance, I've told this story before, but a few months ago when Steve had some success with a song on Motion Array that was in the corporate style. And I copied that almost, I charted it and I copied the tempo and the chart. I mean, basically his not progression so much, but the arrangement. And I did my own version. Turned out completely different because I was doing it mainly based on piano and stuff like that. And then another one of my clients who was I'm helping in some consulting, he did the same thing. He took Steve's song and made his own version, and his sounded completely different. That's because we're all completely different people. And so I think it's important for us to really lean into who we are and lean into our styles. And so, yeah, loved all the instrumentation. Again, I wonder if it, yeah, definitely. Arco says National Geographic documentary showing Indian landscapes, right? Or, yeah, anything in the Indian and African and Middle Eastern type regions. I think it works great for. Had a lot of nice things in there. But again, I think it was a pretty slow boil, if you will. It was a pretty straight across type of deal where it was just almost like a soundscape rather than a song that moved from. I think it wouldn't have hurt for it to go on to another section, like a B section of some kind. So that certainly could have been something that it did. But otherwise, really nice. Thank you, David, for sending that in. Okay, well, Luca, your time has come. Luca, also known as Love 3. We're going to hear your song in stereo. So let's now go ahead and go to that page and listen to Luca's song. And this song is called Velvet Gambling. And Velvet Gambling, you didn't really leave any comments. So if there's anything you want us to comment on specifically, Luca, please leave that in the comments and in the chat, and we will get to that. So let's listen in glorious stereo. And here we go. Cool. Yeah, that was very cool, and I think the ads idea is very interesting for sure. I really didn't hear anything I didn't like as far as the sound that I could hear. Let's see. Stevie B says groovy. Hey, if you're getting a groovy from Stevie B, he is the king of groove, so you're getting that. White Beam says, I dig this. Yes, I also dig this. And Mix Club says, nice tag on the out. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's possible it could have had a little breakdown in the middle for a second and stopped and then picked it back up. But that's not like absolutely got to happen. I think, you know, it's definitely something that could happen, but it's not something that really needs to happen on every single song. There can be songs where the groove just keeps going. Like Arco said, if it was an ad for an electronics type of thing, it doesn't have to necessarily have a stop in it, because they may not want to stop in it. Just remember though that you got to keep people's interest up and make sure you're always adding new things. There were some like, and now this is going to be in mono because I don't want to switch it for this, but there's some stuff happening back there that's very paddy, and I know it's adding some ambiance to it, but sometimes it gets a little in the way for me. Yeah, I didn't even see Steve's comment. He said pad ambient sounds are a bit heavy, interfere harmonically in parts. Great minds. He probably copied what I was thinking. But no, I was just saying that there's something happening in those chords that's a little annoying. Something else needs to be happening, and it might be something rhythmic that needs to be added there, or something else could happen there. So yeah, I really think that something else might replace those pads, maybe, Luca, and or whatever those little sounds are, those ambient sounds. If you watch Steve's video again from last night, he adds some stuff in there, but it's really low. He talks about, oh, I added some of this stuff in there, like these vocal stuff in there. Yes, I think we do a few too many podcasts and texting, Steve and I probably. But I think that there is, if you watch Steve's video last night, you'll see where he had stuff like that in there. But when I listen back to the mix, it's barely audible because it's just adding to the ambiance without being over top of everything else that's going on and causing any kind of like what am I hearing there? What is that? And so I think that's something that you might look at maybe turning down a little bit in that particular one. But I love the name, Velvet Gambling. I could also see it in a caper type film where people are at a casino or something like that. So that's not a bad title. And but maybe there's some other kind of thing going on, and don't maybe think about the, yeah, a little too intrusive, and there could be some kind of other rhythmic thing that's going on that's higher that adds to it. Again, I'm not getting paid by Steve to say this, but in his video last night, he added a little ear candy with these little synthesizer things. And again, they weren't over the top of everything, but they were just kind of in there, and they type of stuff. So can't hear it when you play in mono. Okay. Well, I was just listening for my own self, just to listen real quick. But I get it. So Steve says, it made me want to play poker, though. Okay. Well, maybe we'll have an online poker night sometime and on the Discord or something. I don't know. All right. Well, the next song I want to get to is our last song for today. Well, not our last song. Our next song is Matt Lytle. This is called The Letter. And Matt says in this that here's another submission in an entirely different genre. This one is orchestral in more of a film score style. I grew up loving film scores and wanted to try my hand at something orchestral. It's mostly drama-esque and raises in intensity. I had the idea that someone finds a letter addressed to them and opened it some chain of events. This is my third attempt at orchestral score. As far as the samples, it's almost entirely BBC SO Discover, which is by Spitfire. Before spending any money on proper orchestral samples, I wanted to see if I was making warranted spending money on better samples. Well, BBCSO, depending on what you use and how you use it, is not necessarily not proper. I think they're certainly proper, and I know I use them and from time to time along with all my other samples. So let's switch over now and listen to this song, The Letter by Matt Lytle. And let's put on glorious stereo. Everybody, hope you enjoy. Cool. All right. So, well, first of all, Matt, you definitely need to um, you definitely need to be investing in some more orchestral samples. Yeah, I thought the same. Signature Music Services says very Bond, and I thought same. I was hearing James Bond the entire time. Da 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 da. Yeah. Lucas says it gives the feeling of anticipation when reading a letter, and that creates that kind of pathos. Yeah. Um, and Whitebeam says very cinematic, no doubt. Um, I think one thing with the Discover orchestral stuff, it's so bathed in reverb. That's its only downfall, is that it's just um, so verby, and there's not much you can do about that. And the other thing that you might remember is that in order to stay in tempo, that you're going to have to move strings back slightly to stay in that beat. And so when you've got orchestral percussion going on with the strings, sometimes the strings uh, can get out of I don't know if I'd call it phase, but out of rhythm a little bit. And so if there's any critiques I have on this, is that sometimes the strings sound a little behind, and sometimes the percussion and the strings don't match up well, like an orchestra should or would if it was being directed. Now, some orchestras don't seem to work like that, but I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Because that was kind of one of my first thoughts about this, is that I kind of felt that was the case. And if it looks like I'm doing something else, I am. I'm trying to get Stevie's song into here so we can hear this masterpiece that Stevie B has sent us today. So yeah, I like the song. I love the orchestral work. I love the build. I think I love the cinematic feel of it. And yeah, and guess what? There are other free samples that you can get, especially, gosh, if you just watch some of our stuff. Hey, there's Matt right now. This makes a lot of sense. The attacks on the strings are a little slow. Discover doesn't have any ADSR. No, and you shouldn't change that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is actually sometimes after you play them, you have to physically pull them back, and how much depends on the string samples and stuff like that. Or you have to become very adept at playing strings before the beat, and sometimes this is a bit of a hidden, or I should say something that we all just get used to doing because it's just the way strings work. Any kind of thing that has a slow attack, you're going to have to play a little carefully. And or sometimes I will play it, quantize it, and move it back. I've used that trick before, and I think a lot of us probably have. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. I think in general, if anybody else has any thoughts, I'd love to hear it. But my particular thoughts, Matt, are that it's all good, and you should be doing more of this. But you can look for, there's a lot of free, cheap, great string things out there. The Sam Orchestra Free, you should have that just for nothing else than some of the things they've had. I've used that so often for percussive things, for some of the different string things they have. Some of the, just start searching. I did a video at the beginning of this year, and plus Labs from Spitfire and any of the intimate strings by Spitfire I bought for $29. That's one of the best buys I've done for a while, and that adds more. And you can add those intimate strings, which are closer mic'd, to the Discover ones, and then you can have both sounds. And I also have a super cheap, some super cheap, when I say cheap, I mean they didn't cost me much, but orchestral samples that I use from a company that I can't remember at this time, and I'll try to put them in the notes below. But if you go to my video I did around Christmas where I talk about free sounds, Stevie B also has some videos where he talks about free sounds. Go to those and look at them. I did mine right around Christmas time. It was called Free Gifts or something like that. And I talk about a lot of free orchestral type of things. But labs alone, also piano book, and the BBCSO and the SAM Orchestra, and there are more, but those are the first ones that come to mind, and that'll get you a lot of stuff. And I'm not sure what even DAW you work on. If you work on Logic, the strings are no joke on Logic now. So go and listen to them, and mixing that all together can bring a really nice sound orchestrally without spending a lot of money. But I do think that certain libraries are still worth it. So yeah, definitely check that out. And all right, so thank you, Matt, for sending us another song this week. And now we have a new artist that sent us something, and we're going to listen to. He's a beginner. He's just started. He's kind of new to all this kind of music stuff, but his name is Stephen Beddall. I think it's Beddall. It might be BEDDALL. I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to listen to one of his songs now. And speaking of Stevie B, he says, Arturia has a free string synth VST. Yeah, I need to grab that. I haven't grabbed that yet. Is it any good? I haven't seen it yet. So another free thing right there. No problem, Matt. Thanks for being here. All right, well, let's go listen to our friend Stevie B and listen to what he has sent us today as we wrap up today's Music Review Tuesday. I'm going to go to that tab, and we're going to listen to Mr. Stevie B and what he has sent us. He has sent us a song called Hailstorm. Uh-oh, sounds scary. So let's listen in Glorious Stereo and see what our friend Steve has brought us. So we've come to a very slow end here today on Make Music Income's new Music Review Tuesday. I keep wanting to call it New Music Tuesday. I guess it is New Music Tuesday to some extent. So, man, I thought that was cool. Yeah, I agree with the Mix Club. It takes you on a cool ride. Lucas says very cool and relaxing. Sounds like some legato strings in there to me. I know you got those legato strings lately. Does it hail in Vancouver? I don't know what that means. Oh, well, Steve says it just hailed like crazy here the other day. That must have been, I'm not sure. Steve, I think percussion would be a place where I would go. I don't know if I would change the length of it or anything, or change it in much of any way, except for the maybe the some just it doesn't have to be gigantic, take over the world percussion, but it could be some cymbal swells and some timpani and some things like that could add to it in a very subtle way, and just really kind of take it to the next level a little bit. Arco says, love the music. Would love to hear what piano that is. Very sweet, though. Steve says, yeah, I was thinking about some subtle timpani. Yeah, I love timpani rolls. I just think not even a timpani roll to a beat, but just a timpani roll, especially at the end, a timpani roll that kind of fades out. Oh, I love that. My good friend and orchestrator that I lost to COVID in October or August, he was the master of that, having that timpani at the end that just really just gives it such emotion. Yeah. And Ronan says, yeah, nice, Steve, but I see what you mean. And he says it's noir mostly. And, I rag on sometimes the pianos from Complete. And I think noir is very nice, but for me, and for this kind of thing, it's perfect, really, where you want kind of a piano that sits quietly and doesn't take over much anywhere. Matt says, I liked it, maybe something a little with a steady sub bass to help fortify the low end. Either that or some kind of ostinato bass type of thing, that doesn't have to be, not ostinato, maybe bowed. I think I would keep it orchestral, but I could see the idea of some synth coming in to do it. I think this sounds like, though, it's trying to be real orchestral, like real orchestra. And so to me, this feels more on the real orchestra side of things. So, well, man, that was very cool. If there's any other comments, I'm sure Steve would love to hear them. But yeah, I just think, man, it's beautiful. And I'm not sure I would mess with it other than to maybe add more orchestral elements. I'm not sure on adding non-orchestral elements. I think that would take it in another place. I mean, you could go that way if you wanted to. But I think I would, I'm going to have to work with noir more. So when I got this keyboard, this M-Audio, what's it called again? Hammer 88 Pro, I kind of was trying to play with noir for the first time. I downloaded it. And I still have to download some of the other ones. Steve says, could have used synth, but decided to keep it orchestral only. Yeah, I would keep it orchestral only, personally. I think it's perfect for that. And I would love to, I think just a little orchestral percussion might be all you need. And any other things you can think of. Is there brass in this? Maybe some strong but soft low brass and French horns, maybe, perhaps, could add to this a little bit as far as the breadth of it. If you're looking for something else, it doesn't need necessarily anything else. Could be used today in a show or something. Matt says, I wasn't thinking synth necessarily. I know Christian Henson likes to add an almost inaudible sub sign to help it feel bigger in the low end. I got you. I've seen him do that too and talk about that. And CVB says that's a nice trick. And he's seen others do that. Again, I didn't personally have any problem with the low end, but it wouldn't hurt for sure. French horns were in there. Okay, cool. So, well, everybody, thank you so much for being part of today's Music Review Tuesday. It's time to move on to other music incomes for us all. We all need to get back to work. All of you, what are you just doing sitting around here? 17 people sitting in here around the world when they could be out there making music. So Mix Club says, it's simple flow, just works. And I forgot to talk about Ronan's hamburger comment from the best hamburger he ever had was in Vancouver. So if you want to go see Steve and get a burger, and Ronan might come up and join you. So yeah, thanks everybody for being part of today. If you have any last comments, now is the time. Arco, thanks for being here. Yes, it was a beautiful surprise to see Steve here. One day we're going to try doing this together. I can use this software and do have people join me. So I almost invited Steve to join me today on here. Let's all eat burgers. Yeah, except me, who cracked a crown last night. So got to get that figured out. If you notice, I'm talking a little like my tongue is in there. Mix Club says today is my visit to the tax man. Wish me luck. Well, good luck. My accountant already filed us a extension, as usual for me, because we're usually not ready at this time. So everybody, thanks again for joining me today. I do want to say that this is a live free review for anyone who wants to know where they stand with their songs for stock, sync, Spotify, whatever you're wanting to do with your songs. And starting next week, we're going to start with theming for these review days. So we're going to do only stock music that is also corporate. It doesn't have to be stock music. You could mean it for some sync library, and some sync libraries do want corporate tunes. So start thinking about that. Think about sending me something next week that is corporate, kind of like Alex did this week. Feel free to break the rules. Again, boardroom or a YouTube video that needs some kind of corporate thing behind it. And I hope you'll join us for Music Review Tuesday, the corporate edition next week. Same bat time, same bat YouTube channel. And make sure you send me an MP3 with no content ID to MakeMusicIncome. Let me just include that in case you're watching this later or at any time. MakeMusicIncome at gmail.com. Just send me an MP3 and basically what you want to know about the song. Great stream. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And there's more reviews. When I post this or when the video goes up, I'll put a little link here to the other Music Review Tuesdays. Try to do better next time. Everybody, as Mix Club says, be safe out there and stay well. And we will see all of you guys and gals next week on Music Review Tuesday. Thanks for joining me. Good to have you guys here. Fun conversation. Thanks to Steve. We'll see you next time. Ending the stream. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Everybody wave goodbye. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Signature services. Bye. Ending it now. I'm not kidding.